welcome to the Wednesday, April 2nd, Ridgecrest City Council meeting. Let's do a roll call.
Mayor Endicott.
Present.
Mr. Blades.
Present.
Mr. Rajaratnam.
Present.
Mr. Heyman.
Present.
Mr. Gorman.
Present.
5 present, we have a quorum.
And can I have an approval? Are there any changes for the agenda?
So
No, none, and I'm trying to mute this, sorry. Go, you're good.
Okay, did you want to make the changes that you saw earlier?
Oh, yes, I would like to, or do I do that at the consent
You
count?
could
At
do
the
it,
consent count, oh.
you want to wait, so you can either, at least in my past experience, you can pull it and then we talk about it then, or right now, if Rika already knows what the changes are, she can just do it.
Okay,
But
I would
that's-
like,
That's up to you guys,
I would like to pull item 4 from the consent count,
when we get there. Okay.
or do it now. Or
So,
let's
so
do
Martin,
it.
Martin, what we have is an error in an item in the consent calendar.
So I would,
An error, a clerical error, or?
It looks to me like a copy and paste error.
It wasn't fully, I don't have
it
an
looks
actual.
like a page is missing, so he just wants to ask about it, so we can just.
Okay,
pull
well,
it
you don't have to
consent.
pull it to ask. A comment, a quick question to staff, is you don't need to pull the whole item. If it turns out that something is missing, then you might want to pull it
Okay, all right, so we'll.
and have a separate discussion on it, either wait till that information is supplied, if it's significant in how you are going to look at the item. It was number 4, you said?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's the transit development claim.
Okay.
it's the very last page for 4, it stops mid-sentence. And they also spelled finance wrong right before
Well,
it
that,
ended.
yeah,
That one,
that
not
part
as,
is, yeah, that's clerical, that's not a,
yeah.
so last page of the resolution is missing, you said?
Well, it looks like it just stops.
That's 3?
Number 4?
Yeah, number 4.
So,
That's NOC, that's mine. Yeah, there you go, you're on 4 now.
Oh, okay.
Are you talking about
the sentence is, one could expect to see roughly 5 to 10% of the finance director and public works director salary be transferred to the transit division as.
It's the TDA claim, item 4, the very last page of the attachment.
Oh, there you go, there's the supplemental. Yeah, so that's
Yep,
just
right after
that's
that.
just the standard printout that goes
There.
with it. That is actually, let me see.
No, the next page.
Yeah, statistics.
page?
Yeah.
Yep.
System characteristic questionnaire?
Yes,
Read the last sentence.
last sentence ends with as.
Yep. Looks like something's missing.
It was a,
But,
your
yeah,
rec-
let's,
what's
let's find out, just when
At
the item
consent.
comes up, when consent calendar comes up, just ask staff
Okay,
if there's a page missing.
okay. And she's been alerted.
that's an
So
Excel
I
printing
move to
error.
approve the agenda as is, and then we'll worry about it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mayor Endicott.
Aye.
Mr. Blades. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that was up there.
That's okay.
Did we? We'll keep going.
Aye.
Mr. Rajaratnam.
Aye.
Mr. Heyman.
Aye.
Mr. Gorman.
Aye.
5 ayes, motion carries.
All right, next we'll move on to closed session. Conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation pursuant to government code, is that subsection? 54956.9 subparts A, D2, and E3, one case.
Thank you.
There's session. If I can have everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would you mind doing the invocation? And if I can have you keep standing for the invocation by Councilman Rajaratnam.
Please join me in prayer if you would. Lord, thank you for giving us this opportunity to be in your presence. Lord, thank you for the responsibility you have given to the city council. Lord, as we discuss many issues that are important to this community, Lord, may we always put the interest of the community above any other thing, Lord. Lord, fill us with your wisdom, knowledge as we take decisions for this community. Lord, I pray for our police department, Lord, as they put their lives online to protect this community, be with them and protect them from all evil. Pray for the staff who work hard to make sure that this city is growing in the right direction, Lord. Bless each one of us here today. In Jesus' precious name I pray. Amen.
All right, next we have attorney report out of closed session.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, Councilmember. One item was considered by the council in closed session, and on a 5-0 vote, the council unanimously rejected the Morales claim. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have presentations for Property and Evidence Professionals Appreciation Week. If the council would join me down at the podium. And would we be able to get the property and the evidence professionals to come on up that are here? There we go. He's the guy. All right. I wanted you to be as uncomfortable as we are standing up here. So, all right. Ridgecrest honors Property and Evidence Professionals Appreciation Week, April 1st through the 7th, 2025. Whereas the Property and Evidence Clerk of the Ridgecrest Police Department plays an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the city of Ridgecrest, and whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement agency, and that members of our law enforcement agency recognize their duty to serve the people of the community by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression. And whereas the Property and Evidence Clerk of the Ridgecrest Police Department unceasingly provide a vital public service. Now therefore, I, Travis Endicott, Mayor of the City of Ridgecrest, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim April 1st through April 7th, 2025 as Property and Evidence Professionals Appreciation Week in the City of Ridgecrest in honor of the Ridgecrest Police Department's Property and Evidence Clerk. Presented this second day of April 2025 by the Ridgecrest City Council. You sure? Yes, sir. Okay. All right. Next, we have public comment of items not on the agenda. Persons wishing to address the council on matters that are within the council's jurisdiction and do not already appear on the agenda may do so at this time. Council will not respond to any public comment, but may provide direction to staff to collect information pursuant to the Brown Act. The City Council may not act on an item that does not appear on this agenda. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes. The public comment section of the agenda is limited to a total of 1 hour. Each speaker is asked to provide his or her name. Do we have any public comment?
Good evening. My name is Brenda. I come to you as a concerned citizen of Ridgecrest. I met a homeless man last weekend. I could tell he was struggling with depression. We talked for maybe a good 20 minutes. I learned that he had followed his wife here, and the goal was to get a job here on base, but he wasn't able to. Other than the Salvation Army, I really don't know what else this community has to offer its at-risk population. He had told me he applied for assistance with Kern County, but it takes 3 months for anything to happen. I met another man 2 weeks ago who is working 3 jobs to get by. He worked in construction for a period of time on base, but he was getting too old to continue. He has a bachelor's in science, but was also unable to secure a good-paying job. Mr. Ratanatum, you're confused about 20% of our community struggling with basic needs when the median income is so high. These people are real and in your community. How do we help these people?
Thank you. All right, are there any other public comments? No? All right, moving on to council announcements slash direction. Councilman Blades? Councilman Rajaratnam? Councilman Heyman?
None.
Councilman Gorman?
This part of the agenda always confuses me. I was visited by a fellow whose kids and other compete in trap shooting in Trona. The Trona trap shooters compete against, say, the Ridgecrest trap shooters and those in Barstow, Redlands, Mojave, Apple Valley. Some travel a long way. And I was pleased to hear that there's a coach and a formal trap shooting competition taking place among different communities of, I guess, high school kids. And indeed, if anybody is as curious as I am about this, there'll be a trap shooting match with Trona. And he didn't tell me who, against whom, but one of the communities I listed on April the 26th, starting around 9 a.m. If you drive up to Trona, when you come to the first plant, it's on the left, and you'll see a sign. And they do trap shooting, clay pigeons flying, bursting in the air. And that's my report for this part of the agenda. Is that what this part of the agenda is seeking? Okay, great, thanks.
You did a great job, Skip. Next, moving on to the consent calendar. All items listed on consent are considered to be routine and non-controversial by city staff. Consent items may be approved by one motion if no member of the council or audience wishes to comment or ask questions. If comment or discussion is desired by anyone, the item will be removed from the consent calendar and will be considered in listed sequence with an opportunity for any member of the public to address the city council concerning the item before action is taken. I will now read the 6 consent items. Number 1, proposed action to approve draft minutes of the Ridgecrest City Council regular meeting dated March 19th, 2025. Number 2, authorization for the city manager to execute the notice of completion for the Phase 2 sewer system rehabilitation project, city project number WW2101. For the city clerk to file the notice of completion and city staff to release retention in the amount of $391,206.94 to Everlevel Holdings LLC 30 days after recordation. Number 3, authorization for the city manager to execute the notice of completion for Measure V fiscal year 2022 street rehabilitation project city project number ST2202. For the city clerk to file the notice of completion and city staff to release retention in the amount of $370,209.32 to Griffith Construction 30 days after recordation. Resolution authorizing submission of the fiscal year 2024-2025 Transportation Development Act Article 4 claim to the Kern Council of Governments. Number 5, a resolution of the Ridgecrest City Council authorizing the execution of the certifications, assurances, and authorized agent forms for the Low Carbon Transit Operations Program LC TOP project, rollover of funds for a future date zero emission battery electric van replacement purchase for fiscal year 2024-2025 in an amount not to exceed $75,124. Number 6, a resolution of the Ridgecrest City Council approving a community development activity agreement, CD number 17.23.1 with the County of Kern for funding for dugout and spectator shade on the upper softball field in the amount of $101,959, and accepting the terms of the receipt of CDBG funds and authorizing the city manager to sign the agreement. All right. So, please don't make me read it again. All right. Does any member of the council wish to have an item pulled? I would like to at least ask a question for item number 4. It looks like something was not included in there.
So there was an error in the
Packet?
Excel that I printed,
Okay,
so I corrected that.
thank you.
A couple of words missing at the end of the page, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to elaborate on this for you, this is,
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
just, all it is a couple words that basically says that we forecast what we see are going to be fiscal, what we see are going to be fiscal changes for the upcoming claim. So because we checked no in that box, we have to write a statement of compliance. And basically, all we're saying is that we're doing some reorganization within the transit division, and we might allocate some other administrative staff salaries towards it
Okay,
to better suit the division with the loss of personnel.
gotcha. Yeah, it wasn't much apparently that was missing, but left on a cliffhanger, so. That was, actually, if I can ask another question with it. What's the difference between the maintenance services and the vehicle maintenance and supplies?
So vehicle maintenance and supplies would be certain pieces such as like tires, things like that. And then maintenance services would be some of the money that we allocate towards ISF for actual vehicle maintenance, oil changes, things of that nature.
Gotcha.
So we try to segregate all of our materials from labor.
And capital software?
So capital software would be things such as the dispatch software that they use, the tablet software that they use for routing the buses. That's why you'll see in there we've started a transition from Route Match because it's no longer covered to TripSpark, which is the new latest and greatest dispatching software that'll give us some better abilities to report and things like that for all the reporting we have to do for the grant funds that we receive.
Then I have no further questions. Thank you for clarification. All right, so does any member of the public wish to have an item pulled? Hearing none, can we have a motion
Yeah,
to
make-
We
approve?
need a motion, a second?
Second the motion.
So a motion and second? Yes.
Aye.
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 5 ayes, motion carries.
Only one that didn't say aye. All right. All right, next we have discussion action items. First, we have number 7, a resolution to amend a professional services agreement with Wildan Engineering Incorporated in the amount of $32,450 for the Mahan Street Improvement Project, the addition of a grant-required archaeological study.
So this one is me. Thank you, council. As you guys are all aware, we were awarded a grant for about $1.6 million through the RSTP program, which is the Regional Surface Transportation Program for the, for the Phase 1 portion of Mahan Street, which spans from Bowman to Dolphin. Caltrans staff has seen some changeover over the past couple years, so the working relationships that we had with all the members over there that are part of Division of Local Assistance has all but evaporated. So with working with all new staff, they're following the book by the T, which even if it says shall instead of should, they're going with the required studies that were necessary. We have certain dates that we have to meet in order to have these funds obligated and not be in jeopardy of losing the funds. So after a consultation with the finance director and with city manager, we made the decision to authorize it so we didn't lose out on the 1.6 million. and we went ahead and got the archaeological study. So this is a paperwork item, and we felt that council would be in support of spending $32,000 to get 1.6 million. And this is all the paperwork side of it, so that way we could authorize the funds to pay for the archaeological study, which was necessary. And with that, I am open for any questions.
Go ahead.
So, Mr. Reed, is this going to be a one-time thing, or do you think we'll have this problem moving forward?
So, in my opinion, after you've done a couple projects and you have dealt with the Caltrans staff and with respect and established a relationship with them, they usually will allow you to put contract language in there that basically says, hey, if we come across anything that we even suspect is of archaeological, I don't want to say subsistence, but
Steady.
yeah, if that is something that we need to, that we will halt the contract regardless of if there's delay charges and allow the full study to be done. That's what we did on Dolphin. That's what we did on, there was another CMAC street that is fleeting me right now. But this is a new staff. Like I said, it might take one more, it might not. Part of what went into this is they couldn't find an archaeological study that had been done near that area. Thus, they requested it. So
Till they get a feel of it, they'll ask us to do this thing for some time then, right?
yes, I could see maybe if we're in an area again, so Mahan Street's pretty much out on the outer boundaries of the city, as we all know. They couldn't find anything even remotely close to it within 2 miles for an archaeological study. And with the sporadic development on the county side and the undeveloped land that they, in their determination, had not been dug in, although I argued adamantly that that road gets bladed, that the county had already done a project there and moved dirt. There's multiple utility lines that never ran into anything. They still felt the need. So I think it's going to be project dependent, and it also could depend on state legislature, but I think if we develop relationships the way we have developed relationships, I think they will utilize some of staff's judgment in the future as to whether or not we need to actually do the full study, or if we can wait and see if we run into anything and then halt the project, so.
Thank you, sir.
So what happens if they find something? Like what's the next step?
So within that report, it basically has a full outline of how you would handle the finding of something. So if you find something, the project immediately stops. You have to hire an archaeologist. An archaeologist will come out and determine the significance. We have multiple tribes that we contacted to make sure they didn't think that there was anything regionally specific there. The tribes would be able to come out and have a look at it. And then dependent on how that outcome is, that would be when they would either have to excavate it by hand with brushes like you see on all the TVs like Indiana Jones and stuff like that, or whether or not we could proceed.
Okay. And the second question would have been, because I read the part where there are different tribes that they could locate. Are those just ones that are regional here or have a historical relevance to this region?
Correct. There are ones that are, I'm fleeting on if they're only federally, no, I believe they're federally and state recognized that they reach out to and they're required to send notices to. But it is published on a board like we have for bids that goes to a contractor's board, things like that, that anybody that wants to provide comment on it can and see. So it's a public document that multiple people can see. And there were no findings in the report of anything of significance, and we received no comments from any tribe.
I just have a quick question. It notes that the field survey would take approximately 4 hours of the Wildan team, but the archaeological survey report, do they have any timeframes that process would take?
There are, all have been done, completed. We have reports back. It's already gotten through and been authorized, and we're waiting on our finance letter so we can put the project
So
out
that
to
portion
bid.
is completed too?
Yes, it's all
Okay.
completed. It was very, very time sensitive.
Yeah, right, that was my concern, you know.
So-
and it didn't state on there, but, okay, perfect.
Councilman Gordon?
I sort of hope they find something.
I don't.
It reminds me of something we'll all remember, when the city council that was seated here back then, perhaps a decade ago, when Ridgecrest Boulevard was replaced. That's one of our first paved roads, I think, in the city, and it has been repaved and repaved by all kinds of different paving over the years, to the extent that the strata of repaved Ridgecrest Boulevards was over a foot thick, and they did it right. I remember it took a long time, and as they beat through the thick asphalt, they found bones buried in the dirt, middle of Ridgecrest Boulevard, somewhere between Victory Market and that stationery store that was there at the time. Aid Stationers, that's right. This is in a video now available from the Machurango Museum. Heck of a story. The thing that made it a heck of a story is that it turned out to be the breeding bull of the Crum Brothers Dairy that occupied approximately that location about 100 years ago. The thing that made it an intriguing story is that the ear tag of the bull survived because it was copper, and we learned that the bull's name was Sidewinder. Go figure. So there, that's why I hope they find something. There's other stories to tell.
There's not a meeting goes by I do not learn something from you, Skip. I appreciate it. Is this a vote?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have are there any other council comments? Public?
Public.
Are there any public comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and second?
Mayor Endicott,
Aye.
Mr. Blades,
Aye.
Mr. Rajaratnam,
Aye.
Mr. Heyman,
Aye.
Mr. Gorman,
Yes.
5 ayes, motion carries.
All right, moving on to item number 8. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Ridgecrest denying all bids received for the Affordable Housing Sustainable Communities HSC Program Community Involvement Project and authorizing staff to re-advertise and solicit new bids with a reduced budget.
This one's me again. So as you guys are all aware, we bid the AHSC project. It's a comprehensive project that deals with not only some of the flooding we learned about and witnessed during the flood of 23 now, right? In August. And it's got some road improvements, a bunch of sidewalk, bike path, slurring of roads, hawk signals, all sorts of stuff. Staff has been very, very conscientious of our budgets. I think that's why you see that our reserves have steadily grown. This project came back in a little bit more than we had anticipated. And based on what we are seeing in revenue from Measure V, we feel it's fiscally responsible to not have a Measure V contribution to this project. Thus, we feel the need to pare it down. That's why we are asking that we deny all the bids and we can remove about $1.5 million worth of work out of the project and then rebid it. Furthermore, to elaborate on that, staff did also apply for a grant to do one of the hawk signals by Los Flores Elementary School. We received that grant. That's an additional $350,000 that at the time of bid, if we would have gone forward with it and awarded that contract, we would no longer be eligible for because we awarded a contract prior to receiving the grant funds. So there's a multitude of issues that I would like to clean up and be able to save our taxpayers money and make sure that we're fiscally responsible. So with that, I'm open for any questions.
So I have a question about the nice-to-haves and the more decorative items. Like what are examples of that?
So one of the main items that we are doing with this project is we are doing work on the sump in the Felspar area. Right now, there's a sump that handles what we, in the engineering world, call a 10-year, 24-hour event. So basically, your normal rain, the sump can handle it, right? We are deepening that sump to a 100-year event, so that way we hopefully will never have water 4 foot deep in front of some of those people's house. In doing that, anything deeper than 18 inches is required to have a fence around it. We wanted to put a block wall on the side of all the houses. That block wall was about 1,350 feet, and it was at the tune of $400 a lineal foot. So we're close to $250,000 just in block wall. So I think that we've all seen the green slatted fence or tan slatted fence that you can put up like we did at the Leroy Jackson Ballpark. I think that is a good compromise that still meets the needs, doesn't allow a ton of people to see in where they see a giant pool of water or a hole in the ground, and still serves the same purpose. So things of that nature.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, I appreciate it. Luckily, you've been able to brief me on this prior to the meeting, but I understand where you're going, and I appreciate you being fiscally responsible.
Yeah, I echo the same. But what was our estimate and what are the bids that came in for?
So the engineer's original estimate was around, with all the contingencies, I want to say it was at 12, but it was like 10 and a half without contingencies. And the bids we received were, the lowest bid was $12,210,000. $12,210,000, and then the next closest was $12,395,000, which tells me that we did a pretty good job putting together the bid package with relatively close bids. But again, like I said, and seeing how Measure V's revenue is coming in from the first 2 quarters versus what we had projected, I don't want to get us into a situation where we're coming to you at the end of the year and asking council to authorize general fund reserves to cover a shortcoming. So
So the revised cost would be around 8 to 8.5 million?
we're trying to get it down to around 9 to 9.5
Okay.
is where we're trying to get it to. So I've already spoke with Will Dan on some of the items that I would like to change and remove. They are working on those changes as we speak, because we do have a tighter deadline to get this grant project completed. And I'm also waiting on written confirmation, not verbal confirmation, from HCD that the additional $1.2 million that they said that we were going to be able to utilize is in writing, that it's available to us. So, like I said, just want to be fiscally responsible, and I don't want to have to come back to you guys and say, we need a $2.5 million general fund contribution for something that we've worked so hard to build back up.
Thank you.
Councilman Heyman or Gorman?
Nope, no comment.
Are there any public comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second?
Mayor Endicott?
Aye.
Mr. Blades?
Aye.
Mr. Rajaratnam?
Aye.
Mr. Heyman?
Aye.
Mr. Gorman?
Aye.
5 ayes, motion carries.
Thank you, council.
Thank you. Next, we will move on to public hearing, number 9, a resolution of Ridgecrest City Council establishing a finding for unmet transit needs that are reasonable to meet with the public transportation system for fiscal year 2025-26. Right now, I'm going to open the public hearing. Oh, and then second, I'm going to receive the staff report. Should have been switched? Okay. Staff report? Evening.
The unmet transit needs hearing is an annual part of the transit plan and financial process.
Sergio, hold on just a second. Can you make sure the green light, there you go.
Yeah,
Green light's
okay.
on.
Sorry, okay. The unmet transit needs hearing is an annual part of the transit planning and financial process for us to continue to receive our TDA funding. We are here to see if there are any unmet transit needs for the coming year and then correct them so that we can continue to receive our funding. With that, I have a couple of definitions that are important for this public hearing. Kern COG Resolution 90-04 defines unmet needs as follows. An unmet transit need exists if an individual of any age or physical condition is unable to transport himself or herself due to deficiencies in the existing transportation system. Exclusions are as follows. Those requests for minor operational improvements, improvements funded and scheduled for implementation in the following year. The term reasonable to meet is defined as, 1, operational feasibility. The requested improvement must be safe to operate, and there must be adequate roadways for transit vehicles. 2, duplication of service. The proposed service shall not duplicate other transit services. 3, timing. The proposed service shall not be in response to the existing rather than a future need. 4, service. Must meet the legally required fare box ratio with fares close to fares similar service. I think at this time it's appropriate for council to open the hearing for public comment.
Now we will open the public hearing. This is where public comments. So now we can receive public comments.
Good evening. Thank you for addressing the transportations for the city of Ridgecrest. I represent the Oasis Family Resource Center, so I work with many low-income families, and we're very happy that city of Ridgecrest has made the bus free since end of last year, because I operate on a very tight budget, and I was purchasing $5,000 to $6,000 of bus passes every year. So this is a huge help for program when we operate on such a tight budget. One of the concerns I hear the most frequently is the limitation of hours of operations, because it's business hours. So if people, low-income folks who have a job, don't have a car, cannot get to work before 8 or cannot get a bus after 5. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's 5 or 6 buses, and they get overbooked. People can book up to a week in advance. So I've heard frequently that there's a strain that, because it's a dial ride, so they usually take just one client at a time. So people are not able to get a ride when they need one. So that's usually the biggest strain. The population we work with, many of them are disabled, seniors who no longer drive, low income who cannot afford a car. It's probably better that they don't have a car, because they probably would not have a most reliable car or wouldn't be able to afford the insurance. So those are the demographic we work with, because as I said before, I was buying $5,000 to $6,000 of bus passes. We've also heard that the school district, I don't know if that's true or not, that not all kids in the school district have the right necessary, so some of them are using the public transit. So that's for the city of Ridgecrest, that there's a strain for all low-income folks who can't get from A to B, and there's no buses evenings or weekend. We try to make people become more independent, so one of the ways we can do that is to provide services. I don't know if you have any input with the current transit, because one of the challenge is there's only services Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so it's only every other day. So if people need to get back and forth to Bakersfield, they can't get a ride on Tuesdays, on Thursdays as well. So those are some of the concerns we've seen working with low-income folks in the community. So I appreciate you taking those comments into consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments? Are we allowed to have council comments?
You should close the public hearing
Oh, okay.
and bring it back to the council.
So do I motion to approve to close the
No,
hearing?
you just close the public hearing.
Okay.
You can do that.
Okay. Close the public hearing. There we go. So now we can have,
Any discussion the council wishes to have, yeah.
okay. So are you guys able to speak to that? Is there any ability for there to be later nights or weekends? I assume there's an increased cost with that?
Sure. So it's my understanding that given that we provide service Monday through Friday, we actually start at 6 a.m., not 8 a.m. So we do offer up to 4 riders at one time during those hours from 6 to 8. It's my understanding that a request for a Saturday or a Sunday service is not an unmet need, because we do provide a service to the city. Like I said, from Monday through Friday, from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. As far as resources with Current Transit, we're not under their umbrella, and we don't have any kind of push to get them to extend their hours. But I can meet with you afterwards, I'll get your information, we'll exchange information, and I can reach out on your behalf. Just explain to them, your concern and see what I can do about that.
If I may, Travis, I know that in your conversation with KernCog, very soon there's going to be, I think that they go through the same iteration that we do, where they're hearing about unmet needs. Maybe, I know it's Current Transit that is lacking in those days, so maybe there's a conversation that you can mention in your staff comments. If it's something you could mention, I doubt that Kern County, you know what, I don't know. I'm not going to make assumptions, but it's worth mentioning there.
No, you're 100% correct. I'll look out for the agenda and see when KernCog has their annual unmet transit needs. Usually it's after all of our agencies have adopted an unmet transit need, so we can absolutely make a comment from what we heard from you. But as Justin was saying, by definition, we have our typical hours of service, but we all are public servants, and if it is the desire of the council for us to look into providing services on days that we are not here, that is something that you guys can direct staff to look into.
Yeah, I would just like you to do some sort of cost analysis, just think it through. And I think it's the kind of thing that you can come back to any one of the many committees and brief out on something like that. I don't personally believe it needs to be a back to the city council type item.
Now, that cost analysis, would you like us to look into if we added services for 4 hours on a Saturday and a Sunday for 2 hours? How would you?
I'm asking for this, knowing fully well that your staff is tapped. I know that they are working extended hours. I'm just simply saying, when you can, please look into it, brief out at one of the committees. I think the council can come up with whichever committee that is, and I think that's reasonable.
Absolutely.
And if I may, Mayor, one of the criteria for meeting the, and I think I agree on a definitionally, being outside of the regular schedule is not an unmet need. But the other criteria is that the agency, or the city in this case, can meet those unmet needs in a reasonable manner. So it's not an open checkbook, basically, or so the efforts to do that have to be reasonable.
Yes, so I'm sorry, Martin, I should have been more clear in my comments. I do believe that by the definition, the city is meeting needs. I agree with that. I like that we're hearing from the public and they're identifying additional things that we can address separate from this during the hearing.
And maybe we can talk with Eric more about finding what the demand is for the weekends, so that we can, maybe there is some set time, or that we can assist the individuals that he helps, so that, just get that into the survey.
100%. I think that meeting with Eric will kind of define what the times are for the needs, and so we can look at what that cost of service would be to the city.
Well, sorry, I'm kind of rattling on here, but I think that you guys probably know as well what the needs are, and I'm sure you get calls like crazy about stuff that falls outside of what you can and cannot do, so.
Yes.
And one of the other things, just to kind of elaborate on what Eric said too, is obviously you guys know you approved an LC Top project some time ago, which provided free fares for the community for a period of time until those funds run out. And Justin and Sergio, I'm sure, can speak to this with their day-to-day operation, but it has significantly increased the amount of ridership that we see. And they have a board, they have software, they have all sorts of different time slots that they've changed and altered to try to accommodate the uptick in ridership. So we are trying to meet the needs of the community and all that stuff, but I thought it was something that would be good to say, that I think the free fare is doing what we intended for it to do. It is promoting the transit operation and providing a really good service for the community.
Thank you.
Can I ask a personal question of how the riders are that are using it? Are they jovial? Are they, like, I'm just thinking about when I rode a school bus and like there were the kids that sat in the back and lit the seats on fire, and then there were the people up front. Is there?
The majority of the passengers in the community, they show a lot of appreciation for the service that we provide for them, especially with the low, the free fares that we're running right now. A lot of them are appreciative of it.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Is there a vote for the, we need, okay. Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion to move the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
Mayor Endicott?
So is this, sorry,
It's okay.
is this for directing staff to make the study into it? Is that the motion, or are we
No.
just?
To approve the resolution?
Which says that currently there is no unmet needs in our system.
The resolution's in the packet if you want to take a look at the
No,
title. It's the very last page.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
But with our comments, and we're going to study more if there are unmet needs.
So if you make a finding that we have unmet needs, it basically makes the transit operation have no ability to go after grant funding. Like he said, an unmet need by definition is something that is reasonable for us to comply with and is something that is either not scheduled, so we're scheduling this to look into. So I do not feel by definition that it equals an unmet need.
Okay. Aye.
Mr. Blades?
Aye.
Mr. Rajaratnam?
Aye.
Mr. Heyman?
Aye.
Mr. Gorman?
Aye.
5 ayes, motion carries.
And council, I apologize, I totally forgot to introduce, this is Justin Shuckman. He's the operations, soon to be hopefully operations manager after I come for the transit division. And then this is Sergio Covarrubias, who is going to handle a lot of the grants and the financial side for transit, all while still doing dispatch, driving buses, and dealing with anything and everything else that I decide to throw on their plate, so.
We're all sorry that you have to deal with Travis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, so next we have committee reports. Economic Development Committee, it meets, the next meeting is April 7th in City Hall Conference Room B on the first floor. The Finance Committee, next meeting is April 8th in Conference Room B, first floor. Infrastructure Committee.
Yes. We discussed just a few items. The traffic light project update. The summary is that Travis is working it actively. We know that there's issues around town, and Travis is on top of it.
Travis Reed.
Travis Reed. There was also a discussion about speed bumps North Cold Canyon Street, and we as a committee decided that that would not be a good idea, but the PD is going to increase patrol in that area. North Cold Canyon. End of report.
And that, okay. Parks and Rec, Quality of Life, their meeting last night was canceled. City Org, the meeting for tomorrow night is also canceled.
I announced, I hope it's been announced, the City Org Committee plan for tomorrow evening was canceled due to lack of quorum.
All right, are there any other committees, boards, or commissions?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, since the last meeting, there was a BLM roundtable that's evolving from a chaotic mishmash into something more structured. George, oh blast, what's his last name? Manager of the Water District. That George is chairing the roundtable now, and his leadership's offering some coherence and a small room with lots and lots of people, I guess over 30 last time I counted, around a remarkable table, everybody talking at once into something that's more regulated and on an agenda. George is desperately trying to keep the meetings reasonable in time, and all the stakeholders in BLM land, each with their individual needs and desires, will get heard. And at the last roundtable, we had a guest speaker from a group called Gold Discovery. It's Gold Discovery Group, and they're doing what looks like spot placer mining in and around the Red Mountain area. I don't know what spot placer mining is. I didn't get an opportunity to ask questions, but they're drilling holes all over the place and then covering them up. It looks like a lot of fun. The BLM Roundtable meets once a month or so, and there's really no room for anybody beyond the 30 people who cram into that little room. So I guess the public might be invited more earnestly if they were in a bigger room. I can't right now recommend it. And since the last city council meeting, also I got to sit in on the KernCog meeting in Bakersfield, as is my wont. But just before that, I got to sit in on a bit of a class on KernCog. And if you're thinking, what is KernCog? Kern Council of Governments. Travis Reed next to me really, really likes them because they have lots of money and they spend it on roads. And I treat them with corresponding respect because of that. And I'm learning what some of the acronyms mean. And the little class they had for me and two other members of Travis Reed's staff sat in on a video learning experience, which was ultimately inadequate. We need to do it again in a different way, and I'll feel more confident when KernCog people start talking in their varied acronyms. I'll announce, I sat in on the KernCog meeting right after KernCog 101 class, and Highway 58 is something that will be coming under our nose over the next 2 years, because it's going to be the site of a $200 million highway improvement program, which will start in about 2 years. This is how far in advance they're looking, mostly between Tehachapi and where you go hightailing it down that hill, dodging the trucks, where it reaches the valley floor of the San Joaquin Valley. And that road, about 10 miles of it, will be rebuilt. The lanes will be rebuilt. Indeed, going up that hill, there's going to be a truck climbing lane added. Everybody would be clapping about this because often when two trucks are trying to pass each other going up that hill, you can grow old before you get to the top of the hill. So they're going to add a third lane, hot dog, where the trucks can go and then the cars can just go like crazy around them. And Caltrans and KernCog are teaming up on this, and they'll be having a meeting, I think perhaps this year in Tehachapi, where an expert from KernCog will stand before some maps and have a long stick and tell us a lot more about the details of a road that will be a headache starting in a couple of years, and it'll last 3 years. So if you're heading, let's say from Ridgecrest by way of Tehachapi down to, say, Bakersfield, you're going to run into problems. It'll be down to one lane. You'll be escorted going both ways the way they do, and your trip will be much longer. Your frustration level will be much higher. There aren't any alternate roads anybody wants to talk about. Be smart. Go to Bakersfield. If you're driving something that'll make it by way of 178 or, God help us, Gorman. That's the little city in the Grapevine. So there, you've heard the first murmur of Highway 58's pending frustration level. That's all I have to report. Sorry it took so long.
No. Councilman Heyman, do you have?
None.
Councilman Rajaratnam? Councilman Blades? All right, so I want to talk about a couple things that I went to. I missed the last city council meeting because I was at LAFCO, which gave me the opportunity to take part in some discussions for some land annexations. And so I will be missing the third Wednesday of every month because I only get 2 times where I can remote in to those meetings. And so my hope is that my attendance at those will be rather quick. They've told me that the meetings normally don't last that long. These first 2 that I've gone to or I've been included in, have lasted quite a while. Last time I got probably the last 3 minutes of the council meeting. So hopefully I can use a room there and teleconference in, so I'm not actually missing our city council. The other one that myself and our city manager, Ron Strand, got to go to was a mayors and managers meeting that will be held bi-monthly in Bakersfield, where we get to talk with other mayors and managers in Kern County, included the mayor of Bakersfield, Arvin, Wasco, McFarland, Tehachapi, Taft, Cal City, maybe. I think there was a representative from Cal City, and so it was a very informative and really nice to see how different mayors and city managers react. It's also nice to see how well respected our city manager is at those meetings. That I think city managers have like a weekly meeting or something, a Zoom, and so. Yeah, I think that's all that I have for that one. But it was nice to meet other mayors and see how energetic they are. So.
Mayor, I have a question.
I have an answer.
Good.
Okay.
LAFCO, so any update on East Kern District?
The healthcare district?
Taking over the hospital?
So it was in discussion. It was talked about at the very end that it will be coming up for discussion soon. That there are apparently wheels in motion or some type of looking into seeing how it can actually be done. Okay. So I was told it will be coming up on future agendas.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so next we go to city manager report. Ron, you look rather younger. It's quite surprising.
With less hair.
Yeah.
Nothing to report other than just go Dodgers, 6-0.
What was that?
Go Dodgers, 6-0. Did they win today? I haven't had time to look.
I am a White Sox fan, and the last year was miserable. Like, I started just hoping that we would just lose to get the record, and then they got my hopes up at the beginning of the season. We were 2-2. It's going to get a lot worse for the White Sox. So I'm glad you have a team that you can root for. All right, is there any future agenda items? Councilman Blades?
None.
Councilman Rajaratnam?
None.
Councilman Heyman?
None.
Councilman Gorman, you sure?
No.
Okay. All right, next we have mayor and council comments. Councilman Blades?
Nothing.
Councilman Rajarat?
Travis, do you mind introducing your staff? I mean, it would be nice to know who.
Yeah, so with us today, we have two of our staff engineers. You've got Spencer Flores in the white and Luis Molina in the black. They've been doing a lot of good things for us. They even helped me prepare some of the items that are on your agenda today. They've been surveying, they've been drafting, they've been dealing with the public, they've been inspecting. So it's, I've thrown them into the wildfire and they're doing pretty well so far.
Good, yeah. By the way, good job on the agenda today. There are 9 items, so without any mistakes other than the one copy paste thing. So, yeah, good job. Thank you I appreciate your hard work.
That's all Rika, she proofreads for me, so I gotta give credit where credit's due. And I didn't write some of them, so there's less chance of error, sir.
There's a book I looked up on Amazon this evening that I heard about on NPR, believe it or not. The book is about that band that young people know and like a lot. The book's called Fahrenheit 182, and that has local interest because Tex Hoppus, who manages the USO building here in town and who was my boss when I was on base, his son Mark started Oblast. What is the proper name of that band?
Blink 182.
Blink 182, and it has to do with the number of miles you have to drive to get to LA and back, I think. I'm looking forward to reading the book. It's, you have to order it. It's not quite available yet, but I think it has a bit to do about Ridgecrest. And I'm looking forward to reading how we appear in a national book. Fahrenheit 182, it's called, there.
I believe Mark went to Burroughs. There we go. Councilman Heyman?
None.
No? I don't have many comments, other than, is there a way that we can shrink the titles on some of these? I mean, they are very detailed.
So unfortunately, there's 2 things.
Okay.
The titles have to have enough information that if the public is interested, they can get a good majority of the information from the title. And secondly, the reason you have to read them is because of the viewing audience. They don't have the ability to see the screen, potentially it's too small or whatever. And there may be another reason, but those are the 2 reasons that I understand that they have to do it.
It's first world problem complaining that I had to read. So it's
I think he's gonna change my story.
Oh.
There is no legal requirement. Keeps going off. To read the agenda. The agenda is available on the website,
Yes,
correct?
it is.
Anybody who wishes to see the agenda or see what the items are that is watching can pull the agenda up.
So what you're saying is from now on, we're not gonna read them, if the
Yeah,
mayor so
I-
desires.
It's entirely up to the mayor, and we had a brief conversation about that a little while ago.
I would hate to be that guy.
Today was especially long.
Yeah,
right?
I'll blame other Travis for that.
You can be that guy. Eventually, it's gonna be somebody else that's that guy, so it
That's
doesn't
true.
really matter.
That's
If
true.
that's a change you wanna make, just give me a call, we'll make some adjustments.
All right. Well, we'll see.
Okay.
We can help you read.
We could do like popcorn reading like they did in school. Okay, having too much fun at city council. All right. The other thing that I wanted to bring up, and I have failed to do it ever since I found out about it, was we had a member of Murray Middle School who was injured in a dirt bike accident. Landon clamped, and I know that his family put out a GoFundMe for him, but he was on my son's basketball team, and we were able to see the progress that he's made, so I just wanted to put it out in the public that I'm proud of the work and the dedication and the effort that he has shown in trying to recover from such a horrendous accident. And, you know, thoughts and prayers are with the family. But I just wanted the public to know, we were able to see him. He made it out to the final game for Murray Middle School. And, you know, he was in such great spirits. And so I just wanted to highlight his effort, his dedication to improvement. And I wanted to leave on that high note of that determination to always get better and to be a better person. So, yeah, that's it. We are adjourned, I guess, at this point. So, thank you very much. Thank you all for coming and talking.